What is up, my YouTube family? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, then it's just welcome to my channel. Now, welcome back. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button because you will not be disappointed. You guys, today's case is another one that was recommended to me via Instagram. But before we get into today's video, I do have to stop and give a special thanks to today's sponsor. So thank you, Harry's, for sponsoring today's video. Harry's.com conveniently delivers premium quality razors right to your door at an affordable price. Their strategic design is manufactured in Germany and gives a close, comfortable, and smooth shave every time. Now, I have the Truman in this cute two-tone sage color. I love that 50% of the plastic in their handle is recycled and that they give 1% of all of their global sales to nonprofit organizations. That's awesome. I also love that their foaming shave gel is very sensitive skin friendly because mother does have the sensitive skin. It also has aloe and hyaluronic acid inside, which is great for your skin. My kit came with a 5-blade razor and a weighted handle with deep grooves for improved grip, a blade cover, and of course their shaving gel. You can redeem your starter kit today for just $5 when you visit the link in the description box. I'm not even gonna lie, honey, I hit my upper lip right before we started this video, okay? My little mustache hairs grow belong in the CIA, how they creep up. So thank you again, Harry's, and now on to today's video. Because I'm switching up the way I tell the story today, I'm not going to show you who she requested, nor did I put it in the thumbnail or the title of the video. Okay, I don't want to give it away too soon, though y'all might figure it out early. But S_, I believe Mila. Girl, I hope I'm not saying your name wrong. Charge it to my head and not my heart, girl, if I am. But thank you for suggesting such an interesting case. This really was an interesting one. This was a good suggestion. I'm surprised I hadn't heard about it because it happened not too long ago. So some of you may be familiar and some of you may not. But without further ado, let's just get into the details. Eczema is in full effect. I don't think you can really see it. Maybe you can see the little discoloration there. Eczema has come. This girl has shown up as if she was invited, okay? Y'all know how she likes to do me. Got my skin dried in a nun's vagina. And so I'm gonna have to moisturize a little extra today. I typically don't even wear makeup when I have little flare-ups, so we're gonna go real light with the makeup and on with the story. On Monday, November 15th of 2004, police are called to the home of 52-year-old state court clerk Peter Porco and his wife Joan Porco, a children's speech pathologist. Peter had not reported to work that morning, and it was definitely unlike him not to show up or make contact with anybody. So a court officer is dispatched out to his home just to check things out and make sure that everything is okay. And it certainly is not. Before even entering the home, the person can tell that something terrible has happened. There is blood trailing all the way from the edge of the driveway up toward the house in the front door, and Peter's lifeless, blood-soaked body is right inside in the foyer of the home. And it is very obvious that he has suffered massive head injuries. The police are then called, who do a more thorough search of the home, and upstairs inside of the couple's bedroom is Joan, who is still laying in the couple's bed. She has also suffered massive head injuries, a lot of them to her face. She had completely lost an eye, part of her skull, and a portion of her face, but miraculously she is still alive, like clinging to life. There is also a fireman's axe there in the bedroom that is obviously what was used to inflict these injuries. And this fireman's axe actually belongs to Peter and Joan. Now, Joan is being rushed into emergency surgery, but on the way, the police ask her if she was familiar with the person that had attacked her, and she nods yes. They ask then if it was a family member, and again, she says yes. The couple has 2 sons. Jonathan, who is the oldest, he's a naval officer who is stationed elsewhere. And their younger son, Christopher, is also living away from the home. He's 4 hours away in school at the University of Rochester. So they ask her if it was Jonathan who had done this, and she nods no. When they ask her if it was the other son, Christopher, she nods yes. By this time, they've reached the hospital and it is time for her to undergo surgery. And so this is all of the information that they are able to get out of her. Now, it might not be much information, but of course, this is huge. It's a huge lead to have. And while she is in surgery, the NYPD, they begin to conduct their investigation, keeping in mind what Joan had told them, that this was her son who had attacked her. However, after 12 hours of surgery, she awakens from her medically induced coma. Joan begins singing a different tune. She cannot remember any of the attack. She remembers literally nothing, and she is certain, or at least believes, that her son Christopher never would have done anything like this. Like, he is definitely innocent. She must have just been out of it to have said that it was him. At this point, they decide to shift their focus and take a look and see if they could paint a different picture that does not have Christopher as the suspect. A cut screen in the window of the garage suggests to them that this is possibly a burglary that had gone wrong, but they can't find that anything is missing from the home. They then look at the possibility that it could be a disgruntled plaintiff from a recent custody case that had not gone in the plaintiff's favor, and afterward he had threatened to take revenge against Peter. But this man has a very solid alibi for that evening. Then there's the theory that this is potentially the work of the mob. Peter has a great uncle who was a well-known former loan shark, Frankie the fireman, hence the Fireman Acts. And Frankie had been in talks with the police lately. There were a lot of rumors going around that he was planning on cooperating and giving up information on his associates. Investigators believe that this could possibly have been done to Peter to send a message or a threat or warning to Frankie. But when they look into Frankie and where he's at, he is actually currently incarcerated for not cooperating with the police. So of course this theory is debunked right away. And there are no more leads or evidence that paints the picture of what happened to Peter and Joan or why. And even though Joan is now saying that her son had nothing to do with it, neither one, they decide to look at him again as a potential suspect. In 2002 and in 2003, the Porcos' home had been burglarized. And guess who had been their number one suspect then? Christopher Porco, their youngest son. He'd actually got caught because he used eBay to sell computers that he had stolen each time from the home. He had also gotten caught up stealing from the veterinarian's office that he had worked at. Again, going after computer equipment and trying to sell it online. Just a horrible thief. Neither of the sons had been made aware of the attack right away because, of course, the police thought that maybe they had something to do with it. But the younger son, Christopher, finds out about it when a newspaper reporter reaches out to him for a statement regarding what had happened to his parents. At this point, he rushes home to be there with Joan, who was now recovering from her surgery. And, of course, the police are there to question him shortly after he touches down. Now, he is asked about his whereabouts during the night of the attack, and he says that he was in the common area on campus asleep on the couch inside of his college dorm, and he had been there all night long. But Christopher's roommate and 9 of his frat brothers dispute that claim. All of them claim that they had at some point been in the lounge, but they had not seen Chris there sleeping on the couch as he said he was. In fact, a number of them were there watching movies almost all night long, and at no point did they see Christopher come through. So at this point, they pull the security cameras from the school, and on them they see Christopher's yellow Jeep Wrangler leaving the campus at about 10:30 p.m. on November 14th and not returning until 8:30 a.m. on November 15th, the morning of the attack, or the morning that they are discovered. So they then go to have the Easy Tag tollway scanners, the data from those pulled to confirm that he had taken that route from the University of Rochester to his parents' home. But they cannot find any data on his Jeep passing through any of those tollways. However, after digging just a little bit deeper, it becomes crystal clear why they can't find the data from the scanners. Christopher had indeed taken that route, but he had used the cash-only lanes instead of going through the lanes that scan your license plate and your Easy Tag. They then speak with the toll booth collectors who were on duty that night, and they recall seeing that little yellow Jeep passing through. But not only that, they also are able to provide toll tickets with his DNA, proving that he was in fact the person behind the wheel driving that yellow Jeep through the toll lanes. So at this point, they speculate that he definitely hopped in his little Jeep, drove the 232 miles straight through, attacked his parents, and sped back to Rochester early that morning, figuring that the cash-only lanes would keep him from leaving any type of trail. Additionally, they find that the burglar alarm system was deactivated at exactly 2:14 a.m. And not only that, their phone lines, because this is in 2004, honey, we still had the landlines, okay? Some people still got landlines. The home's phone lines were cut. So this is the timeline that they have so far. 10:30 p.m. he leaves his campus at the University of Rochester. At 2:14 a.m. the alarm is put in, like, correctly. There was no try again, girl. He did not jam it up where he had to wait a couple minutes or get sent an email link, nothing. It was entered correctly the first time. At exactly 4:59 a.m. the phone lines to the home are cut. And at 8:30 a.m. approximately, his little Jeep scurries back onto the campus. And they, of course, have these toll tickets with timestamps in between all of those timestamps. So it's looking pretty bad for Chris. And despite all of this evidence pointing toward her youngest son, Joan Porco maintains her belief that her son had nothing to do with the attack on her and her husband. She actually becomes a little frustrated with the investigators and urges them to find her husband's real killers so that her and her sons can sleep peacefully and feel like they are living in safety instead of looking over their shoulder, fearing that someone wanted to finish the job. Joan insists that the cutting of the window screen is from the person who had actually attacked them. But police believe that this cut was made by Christopher to create a diversion, to plant that idea, that seed in one's mind that this was from somebody who had broken into the home. And y'all, Chris might as well have stole something. Like, girl, make it look real. And when they speak with Jonathan Porco, the oldest brother, he has a rock solid alibi. He was exactly where he was supposed to be, down to the Navy, okay? And he also makes a very interesting claim that his brother is very guilty. He, unlike his mother, is convinced that this was definitely the work of Christopher. For one, this particular code that was entered was a family code. No one knows it but the family. 2 of the 4 people that know it were attacked, so it's obviously not them. And he has a rock solid alibi. It's obviously not him. That only leaves Christopher. Now, Christopher had smashed the alarm box to make it look like maybe someone broke in, took a little bat to the alarm box to make it stop. But even with it being smashed, they were able to see what time the correct code was entered and that it was correctly entered before it was smashed. Jonathan also sheds light on Christopher's rocky relationship with his parents as of lately that had gotten way worse in the weeks prior. He and his parents have been arguing about his grades and his lackadaisical attitude towards school altogether, school that they have been funding. In the year before the attack, Christopher had been forced to withdraw from the University of Rochester because his grades had gotten so bad. But he told his parents that it wasn't him. His grades were that bad because his professor had lost his final exam and that the professor was claiming that he never turned it in, but in actuality, he just did not want to own up to misplacing it. So he briefly enrolls at Hudson Valley Community College for the spring of 2004. But he was accepted back into the University of Rochester in the fall of 2004 after forging transcripts from Hudson Valley. Now, he lied and told his parents that, girl, they found my test. Like, they had found his lost exam, had apologized to him for the whole miscommunication and inconvenience. And to make it up to him, they would be covering his tuition to compensate for the mistake. So he wouldn't be needing them, his parents, to fork over the funds. Now, in reality, he'd actually taken out a $31,000 loan by forging his parents' signatures as co-signers. And of course, they have no idea about this. He'd used that money to pay the tuition. So, child, in actuality, they really were paying for the school and they just didn't know. Christopher had also been experiencing a lot of financial troubles because he was mismanaging his money and his parents were getting tired of funding him. He had recently told quite a few people that he expected to come into some money very soon, but he never specified how. Now back to this loan. 2 weeks before the murder, Peter had actually found out about the loan that Christopher had taken out with his signature and using his credit score. He confronts his son via email telling him that he is now aware of the loan and plans on calling Citibank in the morning to let them know that this was actually fraudulent. But when Peter calls the bank the next morning, child, things just go from bad to worse, okay? He also finds out that in addition to this $31,000 loan, that pretty little yellow Jeep that Christopher was riding around in, yeah, it was also financed there using Peter and John's signatures as well. So again, he emails his son letting him know that he has now found out about this and warns him that if he does anything else using his credit, he'd then be forced to file forgery affidavits in order to disclaim liability for any of these things. And the reason that Peter is having to email his son is because Christopher has stopped answering calls from him and Joan weeks ago. Child, Peter is lucky because the way my mother would have threatened to rip my toenails clean off, she wouldn't even I think my mother would have showed up where I was and just done it at that point. At the Wrangler, she definitely would have just gone with action. Shout out to Sharon. Peter is super nice in this email because he ends it with, "We may be disappointed in you, but your mother and I still love you and care about your future." Child, would have had my child locked up and I would have swallowed the cell key. Okay, your future would have been given scared straight. With Christopher knowing that an end has now been brought to his scamming ways using his parents' credit score, he devises another plan to capitalize off of them. Life insurance policy payouts on them both. Now, after arriving to their home, slicing the window screen and disabling the alarm, and also, of course, cutting the phone line, he had taken the fireman's axe from the shed and entered their bedroom, where they, of course, are sleeping peacefully and immediately begin swinging at their heads. He then, of course, smashes the alarm box and hops back into his little Jeep and speeds back to campus, just waiting on the notification that his parents had both unfortunately passed away. Now, despite the massive injuries that Peter has sustained, he does not die immediately. Y'all, this part of the story, the thing is, when I first started doing these videos, almost 200 videos ago, I was so sensitive in most of the cases I would cry while I research. But over time, I feel like I've become desensitized to a lot of it. However, this part of the case, child, had me crying all over again. I was so, I don't know. It really triggered me emotionally, this little next part. But it was just so sad to me. At the time in which Peter normally gets up to go through his morning routine and get ready for work, he regains consciousness and gets up and goes about his morning routine and a horrifying daze as if he is completely unharmed. Leaving a trail of blood inside the home, Peter had gone to the restroom. He had loaded the dishwasher, packed his lunch for work, wrote a check to pay for one of Christopher's parking tickets that had come to their home, and then he had gone outside to collect the newspaper, which is why there was a trail of blood outside of the home leading up to the door. He had somehow managed to lock himself out of the house and had enough presence of mind to then look for the key, the spare key they kept outside, get it and let himself back in. And once he gets back into the foyer, right inside of the home is when he collapses. This man had suffered 16 blows to his skull with the fireman's axe and was missing part of his jaw completely. Now, despite what Lil Joan is talking about, her son, Christopher Porco, is arrested immediately and charged for killing his father and attempting to kill his mother. He, of course, maintains his innocence and says that this is all some big misunderstanding, that he was completely innocent. And so does his mother. Joan decides that she is going to stand beside her son through everything. She scrapes up $250,000 cash to post his bail, accompanies him to each and every court date, literally holding his hand, arms locked. She also testifies for the defense, maintaining her son's innocence. And his brother, Jonathan, the other son, he does the exact opposite. Christopher's lawyers, they lean heavily on the fact that aside from the DNA on the toll tickets, there is no physical evidence linking him to this attack on his parents. evidence. They found no fingerprints whatsoever on the fireman's axe. Now, fortunately, though, there is an overwhelming amount of circumstantial evidence that says otherwise, and there are also a number of witnesses who have come forward to testify against Christopher. Christopher's trial lasts about 6 months, and when it wraps on December 12th of 2006, Christopher Porco is found guilty of second-degree murder and attempted murder. He is given 50 years in prison on each count and has to serve a minimum of 50 years. At this point, he gives a statement that he fears that his father's true killers are still out there somewhere. But at this point, he has little confidence that they will ever be caught and brought to justice. Currently, he is incarcerated at the Clinton Correctional Facility, and he appealed his conviction at the state level, but he, of course, was rejected. He then appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, but yeah, they refused to even hear his case, okay? They rejected it without even consideration. He will be eligible for parole, though, in 2052. In 2012, Lifetime aired a movie about him called Romeo Killer, the Chris Porco story, and he attempted to sue them to keep that from coming out. And of course, Joan continues to support her son both financially and emotionally throughout his prison bid. Okay, she still believes that her son didn't do this. And I'm questioning whether or not she believes it, because I can see how she could wake up from surgery with like this complete loss of memory. But at the point in which you see all of this evidence, I really question whether or not she really believes that he hasn't done this. Like, do you really believe he didn't do this, Miss Girl? I want to know. If she only had that one son, I could see why she probably would want to cling to him and have that relationship. Granted, if he was my only child, I'd still throw him to the wolves, girl, after you didn't ask me down. But she has another son, so I just don't understand why, if she does believe that he was responsible, why she would be sticking beside him. So that just really leads me to believe that she really believes that he was not responsible, and that is mind-blowing. But child, that ain't my business, okay? That concludes today's video. Let me know your thoughts. Let's talk. We really got to talk about this down in the comments. Like, I want to know, if you were the parent, the surviving parent, how would you react? I really want to know what y'all's thoughts are on this particular case. Again, thank you to today's sponsor, Aries.com. If you want your upload to be smooth like mine, please check them out. Do not forget that you can get your own starter kit following the link in the description box. It is certainly a quality raiser, and we love the convenience of not having to leave our homes. Everybody got the cooties out there in the world. Do not forget to like the video before you leave. Comment your thoughts down below. Share the video with a friend or foe, or, you know, just somebody that you know. As always, I appreciate you so much for spending your time with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace. And if you're wondering why I didn't put on lashes, girl, it's eczema. I told you. I have to go wash this off now because the face is definitely giving desert storm. You know, it's flaking. Girl, I'm definitely over here like a lizard, okay? Chill. Bye. What is up, my YouTube family? Welcome back to my channel. Why am I smiling so hard? I'm so ridiculous. I didn't chill. And look at my little hair at the top. Crazy. What is up? Take 3. This case was such an interesting. I can't talk. She is off. Child, Maya the Dawn song is stuck in my head, and I'm trying to tell y'all what happened, but in my mind, I just keep saying this dress look good because I'm in it. Okay, big body Range Rover, not rented. That's all I keep on reciting in my head, and it's really not the time or the place for that, you know. Oh, but immediately after the video, investigators thought that maybe this was done to Paul. Who is Paul? Who is Paul, girl? Paul or Peter? Additionally, they find out that the burglar sister, what? Am I still singing Telfie? Yes. Do I want to go put on my Telfie bag? I do. Am I mad that I missed the relaunch? I am. I still want to fight somebody about it. So if you got a medium black or tan bag, see me in the pinned comment, baby. I want to engage in fisticuffs, okay? Bella, why you gotta lick your coochie right here by the mic? I'm in my bed. I'm in my Telfie. Drip down and Prada shoes. Just something. Child, the song got me in a chokehold. Anywho, that wraps today. When I say Bella has been snoring her life away in the corner, snoring it up, okay? As always, I appreciate you so much for spending your time with me, and I look forward to seeing. No, girl, you're supposed to be like, comment, like, subscribe.